Everything. Now, I've long called Dylan Gabriel a backup quarterback, and people get upset about that, guys. I just think that's what he is, and I'd be more than happy to change that designation if he goes out there and plays well. I think Sunday, in so many ways, could end up being his Waterloo for a lot of fans. When you're dealing with a rush defense that is third in the NFL right now, that's pretty good. I know that you said that Jonathan had mentioned something like, guys, just get ready. I think they're going to abandon it. Well, if you're down by 2 scores going into the fourth quarter, the run game goes away. Now, you could put Quinshon Judkins out there if you want to, but I think in this game, it could change the way people think of Dylan Gabriel. Because let me try to be positive about this. Like, if I were picking a team to win, I'm going to pick the Patriots. All right? That's how it's going to go. Obviously, I want the Browns to win. If the Browns are going to win, I think Dylan Gabriel has to play well. I don't think that you can hide him anywhere. It can't be like the Miami game where he doesn't have to do anything. Exactly, where he doesn't have to do anything. I think he's going to have to play well in this game. Drake May's really, really good. He's doing it with a bad offensive line. Or he's got injuries across his offensive line. His left tackle situation's not that great. He's had pressure up the middle. He's been able to escape. He's been able to run for first downs. He's much better with his legs than I think a lot of people are about to realize coming up on Sunday. This is going to be a very, 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 very difficult test. And I can go back into the history, but let me just stick with these two teams. It's a really good quarterback. His offense is good. Boute's very good at catching touchdown passes. I mean, they can put it on you. They really can. And that rush defense, I think, is going to do what they can to circle number 10 and cross him off the list. And then let's see if Dylan Gabriel can beat us. And he has to play well to get a win. If they win on Sunday, does it change? Will a lot of people change their perspective of Dylan Gabriel? Can it change the thought of how you feel about Dylan Gabriel as a Browns quarterback, a future quarterback with one win over the New England Patriots? I have to say yes, because I can't see him playing poorly or them not needing him to win like they did against Miami to go out and beat the New England Patriots. I find it to be almost impossible.
Yeah, he's not going to just be able to screen them to death.
Yes.
Like they're just not going to allow that to happen. And the one concerning thing to me is, like, Judkins was phenomenal on 3 runs in that Miami game. Well, on 18 runs or whatever it was, he was held in check at the line of scrimmage. So he was able to, because he's got some special juice to him, to break a few loose and make the most out of it. But yards per carry and all of that. And that was against, I think, arguably the worst rushing defense there is in the league. So what happens when he's going up against a team that's good at it?
Yeah.
And that was, that's what happened. Pittsburgh's defense hasn't been good this year, but Pittsburgh, they stopped the run. And then the Browns abandoned the run. So then it was a sitting duck. I mean, Dylan Gabriel had no chance. He couldn't see. He was getting rushed from every direction. And it seemed like there were 20 guys rushing the quarterback because he got swallowed up.
I can't help but think it's going to change my perspective. Now, I can't see a scenario that I come in on Monday and say, franchise quarterback material, we might be cooking with something here. But I can see myself going, all right, we need to kill this conversation right now or put it up on the shelf about the backup coming in. Like that being it. Like if you're 3-5, you kind of got to look at it now. Especially 3-5, a bye week, and then the Jets. You got to look at things now and say maybe this season isn't gone to hell the way that we think it's going to go to hell. Now, you got major decisions coming up that you and I are going to, if they win on Sunday, you and I are going to have arguments over the next week on what to do at the trade deadline. Because at 3-5 and in a not so great division, this division is not great this year, you have major decisions to make. And I think that Dylan Gabriel has to play well for us to have those conversations next week. I think he can change the conversation around him coming up on Sunday, but he's got to play well for them to win. Myles Garrett, this is pregame NFL. The NFL put this out there. This is Myles Garrett, as guys are supposed to do, getting his team hyped up before the game. Now, I'm going to speak lowly. Turn your radios up just a little bit here so you can hear it, because this is heavily edited with the bleeps from our good friends at the National Football League and NFL Films. Here is Myles Garrett before the Dolphins game on Sunday.
Coach keep on telling us to have some fun. Have some fun. Only way I know how to have some fun is winning. That's the only way out. Nobody having fun when we losing. Nobody having fun walking back to the locker room down. Clock 0, we down. Nobody likes that. So take that personal. That's the only way I know how to fun. Take that personal. Whoop somebody ass. Finish. Win. Every quarter. Do that. Let's go. Win on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Audio courtesy of the National Football League. It's never too late to mend, as I found out on the wall at the end of Blues Brothers, is it too late to ever become a leader? Is it too late to ever become a true leader? Now, I know we've talked about this before many, many times. I don't expect him to be a leader. I know he's flirted with the idea a time or two. I think at times he's wanted to. I don't think he's ever really taken the mantle and been that. But is it ever too late to become that leader? I don't think it is. He knows he's not going anywhere.
So wait, what do you think leadership is? You think it's just rah-rah speeches?
No. But I don't.
So this changes Ken's mind just like that because he heard him mic'd up before a game.
Wait a minute. I didn't say. I'm asking. Hold on, a-hole. I'm asking a question. I didn't say all of a sudden I'm pro Myles being a leader out there and giving fiery what's the guy who was the hockey coach?
Hervé Villachet.
Yeah. I never.
Herb Brooks.
Herb Brooks, thank you. I didn't almost said Herb Abrams. I didn't think he was going to give some Herb Brooks speech. I didn't say I was all of a sudden like that. I'm just asking you a question for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I mean,
why do you always every time I ask you a question, you just assume I'm setting you up for my point I want to make?
I just think
it's a simple question.
Like leadership is like one of the hardest things to ever talk about when we're not in the locker. We basically just have to ask the players, like, off the record, hey, who are the leaders in that room? And it's not necessarily just the guys that have the big C on their jersey. Like we found that out, plenty of times.
Yeah, I know.
So I think it's a hard thing to talk about because we're not there every day. I mean, we've seen Myles, like we have to put together all the evidence that we have and then determine if it means that a guy is a true leader. Like I've seen Myles working with other linemen in camp. Okay, that's something a leader would probably do, right? And I've seen Myles talk more than any other player. I mean, probably because we have different quarterbacks all the time, but Myles is the guy that talks the most and gets microphone shoved in his face the most outside of Shedeur Sanders. So that to me, that would seem like a guy, if he's talking all the time about the team, if he's weighing in, if you can tell the general mood of the building based on, how a guy reacts, like that's always seemed to me like, all right, yeah. Like, but then there's the question of, is it good leadership? That's a totally different idea. Like when LeBron was here, we always were asking about his methods and the way that he would go public or the way that he would utilize social media.
And he wasn't always perfect.
Yeah.
He wasn't always perfect with it.
Yeah. So, all right. But would guys defer to him and kind of go the way LeBron wanted to go? Of course.
Well, if I can say something without you turning my words against me already. One speech that I see on TV or in a clip 4 days after the game isn't going to change my mind. I still think he's reluctant to take leadership, to take real control of the team. I think it's part of what holds them back because when the best player on your football team doesn't really become that leader and sets that example.
So, but what do you mean by when you say that? I think that'll sound like if someone's never heard our show before, they'll say, "Well, what are you basing that on?" What
based on everything that we've found out over the last 9 years of his career, the things that I've seen, the things that I know, the things that have been written about publicly that people can go read. Those things caused me. And I'm not even bringing up any of the stuff that happened. Back in when was it with the helmet incident? I'm not bringing up any of that stuff. That's beside the point.
Like I think, for example, I think that now years removed, I think people look at the Baker situation, and there are people that blame Myles Garrett for some of that. Because
you know what Mary Kay wrote.
Right.
That was years ago.
Right, absolutely.
They remember that, and we remind them of it.
But it's funny is Myles is still here.
Yeah.
Myles is the guy that is still here. So, does that maybe prove that he was a better leader at the time than Baker? I don't know.
And you know what? Maybe, but at the same time...
Or is he just a better player?
Well, certainly. And I think that we have confused him being a great player with great leadership at times. And I think that also when we see that video, we were tagged on it a bunch of times on social media about it because, again, we've been critical of his leadership. I think there's a difference between great player and great leader. And I think that at times that's what's hurt them because I think he's flirted with the idea. I think he's been inconsistent with it. But if you're not consistent the entire way through, players are going to see right through that. Fans, they desperately want it because they don't get to see the inside stuff. Players, you can't lie to players. And if Myles wanes, if he wants to take that mantle of leadership, great. I don't think it's ever too late to do that. Unless you are because right now, he is at the peak. I think that if you were at the end of the line and you were not the same player you used to be and he was a shell of his former self, yes, I think it's too late. But if you're still at the peak of your powers, and he is, no better time. Because he has to understand this. He's not going anywhere. He's here until the end of his career. Or if he wants to retire at the end of the year, then he's done. But he's here till the end of his career. That contract, with the exception of like one contract that's maybe somewhat realistic, but still a pipe dream, is untradeable. So you're here now. You've made your decision. You're here forever. So if he wants to, he could look at it and go, I got to get the very best I can out of myself and everybody else. And he can tell the truth. He can tell the truth. If he thinks Kevin Stefanski's a goof and he thinks that this team is a goof and this front office is goofy, he can go out there in the media today and say that in the media. He could say whatever he wants because he's untradeable. But if he wanted to, he could be the policeman in the locker room. He could be the guy that holds people accountable and holds people to a higher. But he's got to do that consistently. He's been inconsistent with it.
But again, we're not there every day to know if he's doing all those things.
But I don't want to give my hopes for it and confuse that for what's real, because I think he's flirted with it a time or two, and I've wanted him to be that guy, and he hasn't been that guy, Anthony. This could be a nice first step, but I'm going to need to see more evidence.
But I think a bigger question is, can a guy be a true leader if he did everything he could to get traded and told everybody how bad everything was in the building? Does that disqualify?
He didn't rip his players. He didn't rip his players. He did not rip his teammates.
But isn't that what he's doing? He's basically saying that they're not talented enough. So the guys in this locker room are not good enough. So are those guys then in turn going to say, you're our leader?
Difference. I think there is a difference there. I think they see it differently. I understand how that can look to some people, but I think that they look at it and go, I think that they've had questions of going, what are we doing here? Who's the leader who's the leader in the coaching staff? Who's the leader in the front office? What are we doing here? I think that a lot of guys in that locker room have asked over the last umpteen years since 1999.
When people, because again, we use only
this is a deposition.
We use only the scant evidence that we get, part of which, like Kevin Stefanski, after a win in the locker room, there have been like 7 times where they have won games, Kevin's doing his version of a fiery speech. Then we analyze that, and then someone will always go, oh, look at Myles in the background. He doesn't even care. He's like rolling his eyes. Like Kevin's getting fiery, and he doesn't care. Guys are different, though. You know, Nick Chubb was never going to be a guy that was going to be elated or really down.
But that's even more. That's even more the reason. If you don't trust the head coach, and you know that you only have so many years left, or time, if you are finally realizing that time in the league is precious, somebody's going to have to take over the leadership, and it ain't going to be Kevin. If anything, Kevin needs those guys. Kevin has always needed the criticism that you could give. He's not Dan Campbell. He's not Mike Vrabel. Okay, he's not going to take on a player physically and be able to. And people question whether or not he actually would be the one to come out on top. He's not going to do that. So he needs somebody in that locker room to be able to hold themselves accountable every day, which again has been a question with Myles. You know that, and I know that, but also hold everybody else accountable. And if Myles would like to do that and do that consistently, I'm all for it. But you keep asking me questions, and it sounds like you almost want me to talk you into it. Either A, so you can feel better about Myles' future here and his presence here, or B, so you maybe can use it against me and see if I can get myself excited, and then all of a sudden they're going out there and sucking up the room, and people are sending us clips of him walking around on the field or something like that. See, that's what I'm not going to be. I'm not going to be fooled. Okay, it's been too long. I ain't going to be fooled by it. It would be a nice first step, but I'm not pointing out that he's the leader that you've always wanted him to be now. No, absolutely not. That's up to him. And that takes more than just one game that you won and one speech coming out before to change that opinion. 216-474-0092. I'm going to get back to you guys. Nick Barlage in 20 minutes. And can the Patriots game, great movie, can the Patriots game on Sunday, a win, change the way you feel about Dylan Gabriel? I think it, to some degree. I don't think he's going to be a franchise quarterback to this city, but I think he's got to play well for them to win. I don't know if you can help it but feel different about Dylan Gabriel if they win on Sunday.